What's up, everyone? Back-to-back shows this week. I love these 2-week shows, and we hope you do as well. The calendar is flipped to October, but Pinnacle FC is back once again with episode 57. Gareth Wheeler, Jake Osgathorpe, basking in the glory. All that is the Champions League. The competition that just keeps on giving and adds to our payroll. Now we shift our focus back to domestic play before we head into yet another international break this weekend. How you doing, Jake? Enjoying the Champions League? Because match day 1 was profitable and match day 2 looking good where we stand here on Wednesday as well.
Yeah, big time. It didn't take long for my biggest bet of the week to cash, which was beat both teams to score and over in the Atletico game. Full 2 units on that, plus money.
Oof.
Just a 5-1 in the end. Maybe revisiting a similar play this weekend, involving one of those teams. Just a little sneak peek there. But yeah, it's been good fun. And I'm glad I didn't put my Kairat Almaty play in my main selections because Madrid went there and absolutely pumped them. So I think we can kind of say with quite a lot of confidence now that they're just not a very good team. What are they doing at this level?
And I backed Real Madrid to win in over 2.5. Both teams to score no, and that paid off. I just knew 4,000 miles, whatever. They're going to be flying in luxury in a good bounce back spot after that loss to Atletico Madrid, which we can reflect on a little bit last week in what happened with our picks and plays. Listen, over the course of this podcast, we're providing you insight from a number of games across the board, and sometimes for our best bet section, we just land on the wrong plays because overall, offline or outside of our best bets, it was a very profitable weekend again, yet some of our best bets didn't come through. I learned my lesson. Do not back La Liga plays top to bottom in your weekly picks, and you might do okay. So it's kind of a tale of two stories here, although our overall records for our official play on the show, at least on outside of the Champions League, are lacking thus far. But overall, the picks and plays that we're providing on a weekly basis are the ones that are cashing generally.
Yeah, exactly that. I put up 8 tips last week. 5 of them won. One was at plus 231. One was at plus 71. So some nice big winners there for people that tailed. BTTS now and over in the Bayern Werder game. Roma to win and under in the against Verona at plus 231. So the big ones. A nice Chelsea collapse late on for over 3 goals in that Chelsea-Brighton game at plus 100 as well. So yeah, they didn't make my final board, unfortunately, but they did land people profit if they tailed.
So yeah, and I know a number of our viewers and listeners do that on a weekly basis. Thank you for taking part. Keep the comments coming in, no matter how you're consuming, listening, watching this podcast. And a reminder, you can follow along Pinnacle on Twitter at Pinnacle or X. And of course, join the Reddit community, the subreddit on Pinnacle Sportsbook on Reddit to get betting insights, market updates, and direct access to the people that make Pinnacle tick. It's the home of smart betting where the best players bet. It's right here on Pinnacle. All right, let's head into this week. I generally despise how there's another international window this quickly after another one. We're just building some rhythm, some momentum. It's going to be disrupted again. So let's make it work for this week and go out with a bang before we have a week off heading into that international break. And we'll start off in the Premier League as we do. Let's start off with what you're looking at, Jake, just in terms of the best bets or the plays that are catching your eye this weekend, courtesy of our markets here on Pinnacle.
Yeah, it's frustrating, isn't it? Another international break. It might be the last time we get to speak about Ruben Amorim for a while. Should he lose to Sunderland?
Fingers are crossed. I'm wearing my Black United cap here today. It feels more like a funeral procession, more so than anything else at this point. Certainly more than a football club that actually functions.
Yeah.
I have a play in this game as well. Manchester United, Sunderland. It seems like every time United play, it's a must-win or something like that. They're going to be in tough against a Sunderland team that's really impressed out of the gate here this season.
Yeah, they've been really good, and I guess most importantly, they've come up to the top flight, and they've been tough to beat, tough to break down, and that's given them a great chance in matches. They've not been creating loads and loads of chances, but they're not going to ultimately because they're the way they're set up. They're pretty much underdogs in every game that they're playing, and they're just doing what they can to stay in matches and accumulate points. And if they get to 30 points, I think we'll all be happy, given the state of play from the promoted teams the last few seasons. But yeah, they've shown they've got a real bit of needle about them. They're very, very difficult to create against. They've conceded just 1.2 expected goals against per game, which is a very, very good total for a newly promoted team. I mean, for perspective, Southampton last season were conceding over 2 expected goals. Ipswich and Leicester were not far behind them as well, probably just shy of 2 at the end of the season. So they've shown that they're probably one of the better defensive units so far in the Premier League. Granted, they've not been fully tested. They've had a fairly kindish schedule, but I wouldn't say that the trip to Manchester United is a tough game at all at the moment. I mean, they're just, as you said, they're pretty pitiful at the moment, United. They're so easy to play against, partly because everyone knows how they want to play, which is one of the problems with being so rigid with the system. So yeah, I like Sunderland's physicality. I like the pace that they've got in and around the team. I like the bite and the kind of fight that they've got as well. I like the physicality because I think this Manchester United team, if they go behind, Sunderland could run all over them quite easily, and they could bully them, to be honest. We saw Brentford do that last week. I mean, set piece is still a massive issue. Sunderland are pretty strong at set pieces too, so that could be something that causes Old Trafford more problems. Yeah, it's just an automatic play really for me. It's just to take Sunderland on that handicap at plus 1.25, which obviously half you bet on +1, half you bet on +1.5. If Sunderland lose by a goal, we get half a win, and I'm more than happy to do that. I mean, the home record under Amorim is 6 wins, 2 draws, 8 defeats in the league, so they've failed to win 10 of the 16 home league games. Yeah, it's really, really bad. And even some of the wins, I mean, the caveat with Burnley was a very, very late penalty, 97th minute. Chelsea down to 9 men. Down to 10 men after 5 minutes. Playing against what was effectively, I mean, before Casemiro sent himself off as well, but 40 minutes against 10 men and, just about hanging on, still didn't cover this handicap. They've only covered the handicap 3 times in 16 home games. Villa on the final day, where obviously Emi Martinez got sent off. Southampton, one of the worst Premier League teams we've ever seen, and Everton under Dyche, first home game in charge, where there's a bit of a bounce, bit of a feel-good factor. It's pretty confident. I mean, even if United win, I don't think they'll win by a wide margin. Sunderland will hang around, make it very difficult. So this is an automatic play, and it probably is going to make my top 5.
Yeah, 2 plays for me. Sunderland, I'll go on the Asian handicap at +1, just to get a little bit more juice on that, because there's no reason why Sunderland can't get a draw here. At the very least, could even win this game, to be honest with you. Haven't lost in their last 4. I like their athleticism. I like their energy, both things that Manchester United do not have. And quite frankly, they're better managed. They already have an identity, and they've just stepped up to the Premier League, something that Amorim has been unable to establish. As for Manchester United, this team is a train wreck defensively. Haven't had a clean sheet in 11. They've gone over 2.5 in their last 5 games. Both teams to score in 5 of 6. And look, they're creating chances, the second highest XG according to Understat in the Premier League. But the goals that they ship, and with this goalkeeper and buy-in there, I just think it's just an absolute disaster. So I also like both teams to score and over 2.5 goals in this game at +117. I actually might like that a little bit more than Sunderland on the handicap, which I do like as well. So I side with you, but any Manchester United game right now, the way that they play, the way that they make amateur mistakes, the way that they have a lack of athleticism now that Lenny Yoro's gone to the bench in their back 3, it's bad. So yeah, we'll make a pro Sunderland play.
I wouldn't, like you said, I wouldn't put anybody off backing Sunderland to win the game for small stake at +534. I mean, we've seen last season Wolves went there and won, West Ham went there and won, 2 very bad teams. That was at the back end of the season. Burnley very nearly got a result. Obviously, nearly won that game. Palace went and won. Brighton have done it. Newcastle, Bournemouth. I know they're better teams than Sunderland, but if Sunderland will keep this very, very tight, and it'll be they just don't respond very well to going behind United. do they at
Yeah.
all? And then they get chances like last week. I mean, Bruno Fernandes has missed two really crucial penalties really this season. I mean, the one at Fulham, which would have put them 2-0 up, probably game over at Craven Cottage, cost them 2 points. And then the one last week probably cost them at least a point at Brentford, which would be 2-2. I mean, when's Mbeumo going to take the penalties? He's got an unbelievable record
No,
for
but I
Brentford.
mean,
Come on.
typically Bruno is absolute cash. He's money from the penalty spot. That just tells me a player that's in his head a little bit. I think the change of position doesn't help him. Nothing is like implicit. Nothing's coming naturally to him. So I think that's a product of. It looks like kind of like a caged animal to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Just like completely uncomfortable in their surroundings and wants a little bit more freedom. That's where this player thrives. Instead, he's being held back. It makes no sense. So let's leave Manchester United alone, and let's hope that we never have to speak about United under Amorim again after this game
You are
this
well
week.
out, aren't you?
Uh,
You've checked
let,
out already. Come on, Amorim.
yeah,
Getting back
I'm
to
numb.
Portugal.
The pain doesn't even hit anymore. It's just numb. It's dulled. Let's keep it on Saturday. The fixture of the weekend, Chelsea and Liverpool. And all of a sudden, Chelsea's in a little bit of a spiral. They're in a difficult spot. I mean, they beat Benfica and Mourinho. And I mean, not a very good team in fairness. But last week, 3-1. Losers at home to Brighton. Now they have Liverpool coming in. Fresh off losing to Galatasaray in the Champions League. Alisson Becker, the goalkeeper, is out this weekend. Ekitike limped off as well. More questions about Florian Wirtz. What I don't understand about Liverpool is Arne Slot in this team was one of, if not the best side in Europe last year. I know they got knocked out of the Champions League, but man, this team was good. Runaway winners in the Premier League as well. And now they've completely changed their formation from a very dynamic and well-balanced midfield three. They've completely changed to something else. The right back position seems to be in flux. There's no cover there. And even despite winning their first 4 games on a run to start this Premier League season, it hasn't been convincing. They're a slight favorite going to Stamford Bridge this weekend, plus 136. Get back Chelsea at plus 189. The total set at 3. What do you make of this game? I have no play in this game, but I'm curious as to what you're thinking because neither one of these teams I'm in a position to absolutely trust, but I can't ignore the talent in either side either. So it makes this game a very difficult one for me to prognosticate.
I'm exactly on the same lines. I mean, the first line that I typed out on my notes was no confidence in either team, which says it all, really. As you said, that both teams have got the potential to do a lot of great things in attack, but they've not really shown it much this season, and both look very susceptible at the back, defensively all over the place. I mean, Liverpool conceded nearly 3 expected goals at Crystal Palace. Brighton, I know Chelsea went down to 10 men, but that was of their own making. Brighton then step on the gas and they just can't contain them. So it's even Benfica in midweek. I know they lost. I know it was a 1-0. They kept a clean sheet, but Benfica had some really good chances and got into some very dangerous areas. So yeah, there's massive issue. I mean, you only have to look at the personnel really at Chelsea at the back line and the goalkeeper. I said it on Monday's show as well. Like goalkeepers, just it's similar to Manchester United. Maybe not to the same level as Bandier, but you're starting with a handicap straight away when you've got someone who you don't trust in there. From set pieces, from crosses, from just shots in general, from just having a screw loose in terms of coming out and clattering someone after 5 minutes. I don't think he'll be playing in this game, but
I heard Peter Schmeichel on the TNT coverage this week say that he rates him. He rates Sanchez. I didn't really understand where he was coming from.
It's a load of rubbish.
It didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. And I generally respect Schmeichel what he has to say, especially about that position, but didn't agree with it.
Yeah, I mean, when do we ever hear any like pundit be really critical of a player? Like they never do. They're never going to come out and say, "Oh, he's rubbish. They need to get a new one."
And unless it's a Manchester United player,
yeah, then it's allowed.
There's a little bit of truth buried in
season.
there. Yeah. And it's typically from former United players. Yeah, so brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. But they've got problems because Adebayo's injured, Chalobah's suspended at centre half. Yeah. Obviously, I think Sanchez is back. So I don't think his suspension was that long. But either way, they're light in defence, and Liverpool. I mean, we don't know how they're going to approach this really, because the team that he played in midweek was really strange, with Frimpong playing as a right winger and Szoboszlai playing as a right back. It's like,
why?
What the hell's going on there?
I don't. Szoboszlai is such a dynamic central. I want him to be the heartbeat of the team.
Exactly.
I don't get it.
Yeah,
I don't get
it
it.
wouldn't be difficult just to put Verts on that right wing, Frimpong at right back, and Soboslai in right centre mid, and you can kind of do what you want. Then they can move around a little bit and exchange positions if you like. But yeah, very very strange. So yeah, I'm like you. I've not really got a bet in this one that I like. I did think that in terms of ceiling, Liverpool's ceiling is a lot higher than Chelsea's. Plus 136 could potentially show up to be good value post match.
Thought the same thing too.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Liverpool go down there, score 3 against this Chelsea team. But at the same time, I've just got no confidence whatsoever because that attack just hasn't clicked at a regular basis. So I just left this one alone, really. I know it's the marquee matchup of the weekend and it should be a good game on paper, but it's very difficult to put your trust in anyone.
Yeah, this might be a game. Keep it on to maybe get in on some live action. I need to see it. I think the first 15 minutes will be telling in this game. So I'll be watching and potentially a game, one of the games on the weekend that I'm going to get some live action, especially considering the markets where they're set up right now. There's juice on both sides. There's value to be had just in terms of what the market's providing. I'm with you. I think I might kick myself. I'm not making a pro Liverpool play, but I've just seen them away. It wasn't just Galatasaray. It was Newcastle. It was, yeah. I can't get there right now. What else on Saturday? You know, the other two matches on Saturday, there might be something in them. We were chatting on Monday when the lines came out, and I think this might be a good time to back Leeds United. Spurs are coming into Ellen Road after going up to one of my favorite clubs to watch, Bodo Glimt in the Arctic Circle. Played to a 2-2 draw, but the Spurs team just they've dealt with some real injuries. No Kolomouani, no Solanke up top, and they look a little bit toothless at times. I don't think they're necessarily bad in terms of the structure and the overall output, but this might be a good spot to back Leeds United here. And I'm going to make a pro Leeds United play. They've been better. They actually took away a Bournemouth victory for me last week where Bournemouth scored first. And I thought at plus 154, that was the right side to be on. But Leeds are a difficult team to beat. I'll give them credit for that. And I think the play here is backing them on the handicap at 0. So a draw no bet at plus 108 and hope they can come away with a victory. It's a difficult time with all the travel and the limitations that Spurs have right now to have any faith in Spurs going to Ellen Road and coming out with a win. It seems like this might be a good spot for Leeds United to finally start getting some wins, put maybe a couple wins together. This is a good spot for Leeds.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I've got the same bet down. Like I said, they're unbeaten at home. The process has been very good. I mean, they created more chances than Bournemouth by quite a distance last week, and more than Everton on the first home game as well. The Newcastle game was a fairly even 0-0 draw, but yeah, the process has been good. Defensively, very solid. And Spurs, the results away from them have been good. 1-2, drawn 1. But the process has not been as good as that outcome kind of suggests. And they've I think, I'm trying to think who they beat at the first away game, but I know they beat West Ham, drew with Brighton. But yeah, I'm not really, I'm not really convinced on this. It was Man City, wasn't it? I'm not really convinced on this Tottenham team just yet, in terms of having confidence in them to go to places like this that are difficult and get a win. I think they're still a little bit soft. Like you said, I've not seen enough in attack to suggest that they can really do some damage. Look a little bit toothless. So yeah, I'm on the same bet as you. And then I've got one more for the Saturday, which is Arsenal win 0 against West Ham.
Yep.
Should be pretty automatic. Still, they barely conceded a chance.
Minus 110. It was interesting because we did the podcast last week and I was kind of edging Everton West Ham over, and I didn't make a play. And then Nuno Espirito Santo ends up at West Ham, and I immediately smashed the under, which was a good play. You got juice on it. It was under 2.5 and ended up cashing in a 1-1 final. So I think that this just completely changed the what West Ham will be and the way that you bet on that team. It was kind of like Ange Postecoglou taking over Nottingham Forest. It just completely changes the way that you approach the market when it comes to that team. So I think West Ham will be okay, but from a team where they just ship goals for fun, it just won't be the case anymore. So we'll see if there's some value. Again, with the same manager, I just don't think that they're going to be able to create as much in attack. So yeah, Arsenal win to nil. That seems to be a straightforward play to make.
Yeah, yeah. They expected goals wise, excellent. Arsenal 0.7 xG conceded per game this season, which is phenomenal. West Ham, as you said, they didn't create much on Monday. 0.78 against Everton, just one before him. So yeah, I mean, I think Nuno's played at the Emirates twice in the last 2 years, lost 3-0 both times.
Yeah.
So yeah, I won't be surprised to see a similar result here.
Just one play for me on Sunday. I'm not sure what you're seeing in terms of the Sunday fixtures.
Yeah, I've got one play as well. I didn't really like too much, to be honest, on the Sunday.
No.
Um,
Mine's, I'm going to back the total. Aston Villa Burnley is just set at 2.5. Villa off the schneid last weekend with 3. That's a good thing. But Burnley, look, I think that they're better than the 3 relegated teams last year. I think they might be in a little bit of trouble because they ship goals for fun. Ship 5 more against Manchester City. It's City, however. Villa's not that. But Jadon Anthony and the way that Burnley attack, I think that there's something in it as well. And when the total's just set at 2.5, you have to at the very least consider the play. I don't love the bet, but it's something that I will be making a play on at -109.
yeah, it's fair. I was and ahhing, to be fair. I initially went down to the under. I was like, oh yeah, well, -103. This Villa team's still not creating much. But then you look at Burnley's away games, and they've all been quite high scoring. 3-0 at Spurs, 3-2 at United, 5-1 at City. And I know Villa aren't quite clicking, but wouldn't be surprised to see them score 3 by themselves. My bet was in the Newcastle Forest game. So I've got 2 bets, really. The first one is just backing under goals, which, again, I did wrestle with myself about it, because generally Ange Postecoglou teams, you think high scoring, end-to-end. But what we've seen so far has been very un-Ange-like, in the way that I know that some of the games have featured goals, but the general process has been really poor in attack. So, and defence has been really good, which again is very surprising. They're looking for consistency. He's changing personnel quite a lot. They've limited teams very well, though. Just 0.99 expected goals against per game across 5 matches, which is really good. I mean, at Spurs last year it was at 1.8, so well done. You've tightened Forest up a little bit, because they were conceding quite a few chances. And yeah, it's just more to do with the fact that this comes off the back of midweek games for both teams. And I know we've only got a small sample size of just the one game, but both teams played. Newcastle played to a goalless draw off the back of a midweek game against Barcelona. Forest lost 1-0 last time against Sunderland, which was after a Europa League game as well. I just wonder if there's some tiredness in there and maybe too much rotation. I mean, Eddie Howe changed 4 or 5 players after that Champions League game at Leeds, and obviously Ange did the same. He made 4 or 5 changes, left Morgan Gibbs-White out last week, which was hugely surprising. And I wouldn't be surprised to see similar here, to be honest, because I do think that the short turnarounds for players that aren't used to it is quite considerable. So that can lead to quite a few, or considerably fewer goals, as players perhaps playing with each other, not used to playing with each other. And I also think if they do play full strength in terms of midfield, I quite like the midfield battle, not quite cancelling each other out, because I do think Newcastle will have an edge, but both are very physical, very athletic, and I think that they would. I mean, I can't see any team really getting too much of the better of the other one, so I was happy to stick with the under. And then I also wanted to have a small bet on Newcastle to win and under plus 364, because I just think Newcastle are just better. I think they've got better options off the bench as well if needed. And I think if it comes down to them nicking a goal, that's a plus 364, which I thought was a big price. I mean, it won at Wolves. They won 1-0 at home to Wolves a couple of games ago. I know the games against the big boys have been quite high scoring, but I'm expecting this to be a bit tighter.
Okay. I actually just, in my notes, I had one other Premier League game. I know we've gone heavy here in the Premier League. We're going to have to fire through everything else. But Crystal Palace just doesn't lose, okay? Like, this team has played all the big dogs. They've had a difficult fixture list dating back to the end of last season, and they don't lose. So why would I bet on them to lose at Everton this weekend? You can get them on the handicap at plus 110. It's something to monitor over the next little bit to see if the market actually adjusts to how good Crystal Palace have actually been playing. Like, they have the highest expected goals in the Premier League, courtesy of Understat thus far. They have the third best expected points, but they're still being treated like a mid-table, maybe just about. They're being treated and priced out like a sixth, seventh, eighth place team. But really, this is top four just in terms of their form and quality and their output, and the numbers back up how good they've actually been. So at a zero handicap at plus 110, it's hard not to make that play. So I'll back Palace again. I'm a believer. As long as they don't lose Glasner, and if Amorim is out, then Glasner might be out as well from Crystal Palace. It's just without a contract next year. Yeah, back Palace, back Crystal Palace. They are legit. La Liga. I'm a little bit sour on La Liga based upon the way that last weekend played out. Anything there? I wrote down a bunch of plays, but I don't really love any of them. Go ahead. I'll let you bat first here.
Just one for me, which is Barcelona on the handicap against Sevilla, -1.25 at -102. And it's more to do with, obviously we know Barcelona are really good, but it's more to do with how Sevilla are perhaps not being recognised for overperforming. The ninth in the table, which is pretty solid compared to last season, but the 17th in terms of the underlying data. Scored 5 more than would have been expected. They've allowed 1.7 expected goals against per game, which is the third worst in the entire division. And now they're playing against a Barca team, which is just on fire in attack. 2.6 expected goals per game is what they're averaging. And I wouldn't be at all surprised to see them go to Sevilla and really, really hit them for, I don't know, 6.
Well, yeah, that's why if you want a little bit more juice and Barcelona to win, plus over 2.5 at -110. Marginal, probably not worth it. But I mean, when Barcelona wins, it's generally to the over. Just a reminder, they're coming off playing against PSG at home on Wednesday. I'm just going to go rapid fire here. Valencia, zero handicap, plus 114 at Girona. I mean, bad result for Valencia, losing to Oviedo at home. 2 late goals. It was almost like a sucker punch. I think it's a good bounce back spot for them. No fixture this weekend screams under more than Bilbao or Athletic Club and Mallorca. It's under 2.25 at -112. I think there's some value backing Villarreal on the handicap, 1.25 at -104 at Real Madrid. Madrid, we've documented, have some extra time, but are still making that journey back from Kazakhstan, almost China. So yeah, Villarreal, a good team playing the Champions League on Wednesday. I also like, skip that one. Atleti, over 2.5 against at Celta Vigo. This Atletico Madrid's side put, what was it, a 5 spot up on Eintracht Frankfurt. They are a free-flowing, high-energy team. They've remade themselves, and I just don't think the market is properly adjusted. So over 2.5 seems to be a good play there as well. Anything else, or shall we move to Serie A?
Yeah, let's move on.
Okay, Serie A this weekend. Take it away, Jake.
Rinse and repeat for me. I'm just going to take Roma to win and under 2.5 goals against Fiorentina. We've gotten a much bigger price, plus 428. This is very un-Gasperini-like, but whatever it is, it's working in terms of results. They've been very difficult to beat. They're keeping a lot of clean sheets. And yeah, the underlying data in terms of defensively is the second best in the league. So they're really impressing in that regard. And I'm sure the attack will click as the season progresses. But Fiorentina are really struggling. 17th on expected points. Attacking, they're just not cohesive whatsoever. Just 1 expected goal per game. Both off the back of midweek European matches as well. So that's kind of balanced out, I guess. But yeah, I think Roma are a legitimate team in terms of potential title contender. Fiorentina look to be floundering as a bottom half side at the moment. So I'm going to take the away team to win and just add in under, because that seems to be the Roma way. And obviously, like I said, off the back of a midweek European, I do expect the goal total to drop a little bit with some tired legs.
If you think it's going to be a tight game and you still like Roma to win, you can also back them on the handicap on Pinnacle as well. It's at -0.25 goal. Just can get half your stake back if it ends in a draw at plus 113. So I wrote that down. I'm going to roll with the Inter train. I told you Slavia Prague, Inter went to nil on Tuesday. It was a near mortal lock. It turned out to be. You're welcome if you tailed me. Let's go Inter, both teams to score no and win this weekend at Cremonense. Another promoted team in Serie A. They came away with a clean sheet last game in Serie A at Cagliari. And I still think at minus 106, there's some value for Inter to win here and win with a clean sheet. So that's going to be part of my best bets this weekend as well. Nothing really else, but I did want to flag Juve and AC Milan this weekend. I just wonder with the midweek football how that might affect Juve. AC Milan, it's an advantage. It's good reason to back them. Back-to-back weeks, Juve and Napoli, by the way, they beat Napoli last weekend. The total in that game set at 2.25. I have no play in this game, but I think it's going to be a really good watch and brief because Milan, based upon no European football, the way they've started the season, it's been much better. So it's going to be a really good game this weekend. Do you have any thoughts on it, or shall we just move on to the Bundesliga?
Yeah, just move on. I think. I mean, if I was to lean, I would be looking at, just like you said, they've no European football, which is a massive advantage for Allegri's team. And it's something we've seen last season with Napoli. They no European football, and they can take advantage and really push hard in the league. So I wouldn't be at all surprised to see Milan in the title shake-up as well.
Yeah, they've been very good defensively
Very good.
as well here out of the gate. All right, let's wrap things up in the Bundesliga. What are we looking at this weekend? I mean, there's certain teams and trends that we follow on this podcast, and one of them had been Atletico Madrid and their goal scoring ways. The other one is scoring and shipping goals for Eintracht Frankfurt. Like they've been involved in the most high scoring games. I think they're a really good team, but defensively, they are so soft. And this weekend, Eintracht Frankfurt hosts Bayern Munich, who look like they're on an absolute other level. Very interesting by Vincent Kompany midweek, playing Harry Kane in tandem with Nicholas Jackson. Kane dropping down underneath, and the attack was simply deadly against their Greek opponent in Paphos, that is. I'm just looking, this is going to make my best bets. Both teams to score yes, and Bayern Munich to win at plus 128. Bayern Munich continue to ship goals away from home this season. They're playing a good attacking side, playing at home, but I'm not going to bet against Bayern Munich to lose, especially when you're playing a team like Eintracht Frankfurt that right now can't stop anything, in fairness. So that seems to be a great play for me at plus 128. Both teams to score yes, and for Bayern Munich to go out and win this game.
Yeah, I've got the same bet down, and that's also going to be in my top five. It's just, I mean, I was very. We had a chat after the Champions League pod, and about Harry Kane to score a brace. And when I saw the team lineups, I was like, oh God, he's playing the number 10, but he still managed it, and he is absolutely on fire. 17 goals.
I made that bet after our podcast as well, and I sprinkled on the hat trick, and
same.
It was just how long he was going to stay on the field for. That was about it. And unfortunately, I didn't jump on the Kylian Mbappe goals because, in retrospect, that was just. If you could back him to score a brace, he ended up scoring a hat trick in the Champions League. So something to keep an eye on. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, Jake. You can pick up where you left off.
It's just the best way to get value, really, because I think Bayern Munich are going to win. There's probably going to be lots of goals. Frankfurt have shown that they've got plenty of goals in them, but can't keep them out. And Bayern Munich, for all that we backed both teams to score no and over 2.5 at home, they don't keep clean sheets away from home. Paphos scored against them the other night, which is, not ideal against what is a very lowly opponent. They've already been to Augsburg as well and conceded twice. So I like this as well.
Okay. Let's get to our best bets of the week then, and let's hope of all the games that we kind of touched on this weekend that our best bets are the actual ones that bring in the most profit. Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, let's give it a whirl. So I've gone a little bit different. I've got two 1.5 unit plays and 2 half unit plays. So I've gone Sunderland on the handicap against United, 1.5 units at minus 123. 1.5 units on Bayern winning both teams to score at Frankfurt, plus 128. A unit on Leeds, plus 0 on the handicap at plus 106. And then I've gone half a unit on Roma to win an unders at Fiorentina, plus 428. And half a unit on Newcastle to win an under 2.5 against Forest at plus 364. So I've gone two bigger
Okay.
prices, half a unit.
Okay. It's actually the Leeds United zero handicap or draw no bet is good for plus 108. So give
Nice.
yourself a little bit more juice. That's what it's up on Pinnacle
Every
because that's
little
one of my
helps.
plays. I'm making 5 plays, each one for a full unit. Leeds zero handicap against Spurs at Ellen Road at plus 108. I'm going to go Sunderland and Manchester United and Sunderland, both teams to score and over 2.5 at plus 117. Although I do like Sunderland on the handicap, I think that's a little bit of a more secure play at a better price. And I don't have to necessarily go out and think that these guys are going to go out and lose the game this week. So Arsenal win to 0 against West Ham at home, minus 110. Inter both win to 0 at Cremonense at minus 106. And Eintracht Frankfurt, Bayern Munich, both teams to score yes. And Bayern Munich to win the game at plus 128. Follow along with our picks and plays across our social media platforms. If you're watching on YouTube, let us know what plays you're making this weekend and where you agree and where you may disagree. Smash that like button. Please subscribe to this podcast. It helps with our numbers and allows more people to go out and watch this podcast as well to hear our spectacular plays and good leads every week, as long as you know, the best bets. I think that this is where it turns around this week as well. So thank you for your continued support. And thank you, Jake Osgathorpe, for your fine work again this week. What are you going to do for the international break?
Get my feet up, have a relax for a bit, unwind. It's a busy part of the season approaching. I mean, we've got one more international break in November, and then it's just back to back to back to back to back. So enjoy the breaks while we can.
It's a holiday weekend here in Canada. It's going to be Thanksgiving, so time for friends and family. And as the season turns, curling season's upon us, man. Curling season.
Nice.
It's a great sport. So if you don't follow along, you should. And hey, like it's something that we're going to have to do another podcast at some time, delving deep into the curling markets, Jake. So as we expand our wings, expand our horizons.
I'll have to brush up on my curling. I'm sure there's a few technical terms that I need to learn before we do that podcast.
Bonspiels are a lot of fun because as much as you curl, you drink pints throughout. So it's like going to the darts. It's just, it's a good day out. So we'll dig into that another time. This has been episode 57 of Pinnacle FC.